Hot news opinion: the abortion wars have become a fight over science. The New York Times. 46 years after Roe, the two camps increasingly disagree on basic facts about abortion and who has the authority to determine them. By Mary Ziegler. Ms. Ziegler is a law professor. It was perhaps, at first glance, an unusual feature of the 2019 March for Life that it downplayed what many have come to think of as the central claim of the anti-abortion movement, that the unborn have a constitutional right to life. Instead, March organizers focused on proclaiming that they circulated, in return, abortion rights advocates, citing studies from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and the University of California, San Francisco, fired back that the March for Life peddles and that its positions fly in the face of evidence. This year's skirmish wasn't actually unusual, however. Rather, it wasn't always this way. Before Roe v. the introduction of scientific claims to the debate came slowly at first. By the 1980s, abortion foes had conceded that a constitutional amendment would not pass in the foreseeable future, even with allies, and so anti-abortion groups decided that their best bet would be passing yet more restrictions on when, where, and how doctors performed abortions, and persuading the court to uphold them. With that, while accusing opponents of peddling sham science, abortion rights supporters insisted that the legality of the procedure should turn on its seeking a more equal role in society. In 1990, but Casey inadvertently fueled a further rush toward science and medicine as the grounds on which the fight over abortion would be staged. Abortion rights supporters have tried time and again to debunk these ideas, pointing to the conclusions drawn by nonpartisan, well-established groups like but support from more recent Supreme Court decisions have only reinforced the importance of science as contested ground. In 2000s, to date, with the fate of Roe uncertain, a focus on science and medical claims has pushed the two sides of the abortion conflict farther apart. Neither movement has. The role of science in the abortion debate also suggests that overturning Roe or even removing abortion from constitutional law will do nothing to de-escalate the conflict. For decades, Jean Mancini of March for Life, the abortion debate isn't settled, but the underlying science certainly is. Whatever either. Mary Ziegler, a law professor at Florida State University, is the author of, most recently, S.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Cracking, fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park, pot.